Good evening, I'm Marty Olsen and welcome to another edition of City Focus. And tonight I'm delighted to have as guests friends of mine who are members of the New London Lodge of Elks. And so we're going to have a discussion about elkdom. And I've been a member of the New London Lodge since 1987. And Henry, I think your tenure spans further than that.
34 years.
34 years. And Andrew, you're a relatively new guy in the block.
True, yes.
And how long have you been a member?
Since the beginning of this year.
Beginning of the year, so less than a year.
Yep.
Okay. Henry is currently serving as the exalted ruler of the New London Lodge of Elks, which I'll let him explain what that is and its duties and responsibilities and role. And Andrew, I think is Andrew Gilday. He is a trustee, so he's brand spanking new in the organization and he's getting involved. And I think that's kind of special, and see what he brings to the table and what he's getting out of his membership with the Elks. And before we get into our conversation, I'd just like to remind everybody that this week, as with most weeks, we have two students that are working tonight. One, Azel Morales on the camera, and in the back room is Nakia James, and they're affiliated with the Drop-In Learning Center, and they do a great job with the production of our show. So I want to give them an attaboy and an attagirl for their efforts. Why the Elks, Henry? I mean, you've been a member now a long time. Why'd you join? What are you getting out of being a member of the Elks?
Well, I always enjoyed volunteering, and I think that the Elks has an objective where they want to work with the community, give back to the community, make our community a nice place to live. And that's very important to me. Even when I was a member of the Elks and I retired, I spent 15 years with the American Red Cross as a volunteer, and just came back about maybe 5 or 6 years ago back into activity with the Elks again, and serving as an officer and eventually becoming the exalted ruler, which is more or less the CEO of the organization, the local organization.
And what is the term of the exalted ruler?
The term is 1 year. You move up, there's 4 chairs in the lodge. There's you have the lecturing night, then you have a loyal night, then it becomes a leading night, and then the exalted ruler. The 3 other chairs are more or less like vice presidents, with topping off as the exalted ruler tops off as the president. We have a board of trustees, and there's 5 members of the board of trustees. Andrew has come right in and rolled up his sleeve and has become active, and being a young man, he has brought some great ideas along with it.
I think what he's done is terrific. As I mentioned earlier, I've been a member a long time, and I just got on the Board of Trustees. So I waited a long time within the Elks Lodge to get involved at that level. Why did you join the Elks, and in your kind of new career here? What are you getting out of it? What drew you to Elks?
Well, I joined the lodge. I grew up here in Waterford and live in New London now and work in New London. So I decided to join the Elks. My grandfather was an Elk in New London. So I grew up going to a lot of events there. So being back in the area and working here, I decided to stop by and got involved quickly, as you and Henry said. It's been a lot of fun. What the trustees do, they mostly manage the physical plant, the facility itself, and I have some experience in that area, so I've enjoyed very much getting involved and working with everyone.
Well, that's good. How would somebody join the lodge? How do you join the Elks? You just walk in and sign a paper and you're a member? Do you walk in, write a check and sign a paper and join? Or is there a process that goes along with becoming a member?
But there is a couple of ways of doing it. I mean, you can go online. That is one way now. We've modernized ourselves, let's say digitized world, where you can go online to elks.org and get an application or a friend. Mostly our membership comes from other Elks members who actually sponsor you. And basically, you have to be sponsored by another elk as the process goes through.
Even if you're taking an online
And the
application?
online application would start that process, and then the officers would get involved to make sure that somebody sponsored you. One of the officers or somebody, would look into it and would sponsor the person, certainly.
Now, are there any requirements to becoming an elk? I mean, I'm also a member of Kiwanis International, which is an international organization. Now, the Elks I don't believe, is a international organization. So why don't you give a little overview, Henry? You're the experienced man here.
Right. The Elks is strictly American. You have to be an American citizen, and you have to believe in God.
Okay, and Elks have members. Is there any other criteria? I mean, men, women. Are there any boundaries? Is there any financial considerations? What you do for work or not work? Lay it out.
No. There's no boundaries in that way. There, we have women. We have black members. We have gay members now. In fact, our offices right now consist of a black member in the chairs, a gay member in the chairs. We're quite diversified.
And that's a good thing. I think that we're much more representative of the community that we're serving.
Yes. I can give you, if you'd like, I'd like to give you a little background of, what I prepared.
Absolutely. Why don't you do that?
Sure. Just kind of a little background as far as the Elks is national, as we talked about, and also on a state level and also on a local level. There's approximately around 2,000 Elks lodges in the United States. There are 33 lodges in the state of Connecticut. We have those lodges consist of a Connecticut State Elks Association, and that is their jurisdiction. It has a jurisdictional boundary. Willimantic has a jurisdictional boundary. Westbrook has a jurisdictional boundary.
So
we
there
more
are
or less
lodges in those
stay
communities.
Correct. Yeah. This year, the London Lodge has donated close to $7,000 monetarily to the community. Some of the money that was donated went to the Gemma Moran Food Bank, the homeless shelter. We sponsor a Babe Ruth team. We held a youth recognition night with 16 students from 6 area high schools, receiving large scholarships totaling $2,200. A Waterford student received an additional $1,500 scholarship from the Connecticut Elks, and they can move forward on that, which I'll go into detail a little later on.
Yeah, I'd just like to interject, when you mention the Babe Ruth sponsorship.
Yes.
My introduction to the Elks, as well as many of the service organizations, fraternal organizations, VFW, et cetera, was they all sponsored local Little League and Babe Ruth teams when I was growing up. The Kiwanis Club and the Lions Club and the Rotary Club, the Elks and the VFW, the American Legion, all were giving back to the youth of our community and all doing good work. And I think that needs to be pointed out. And it starts when you're young. I mean, it maybe doesn't quite click what the organizations are doing or why they're there. But there's a lot of good people in our community that are giving back. And the Elks certainly gives a wonderful opportunity to do that in a very positive fashion.
Correct, yes, correct. The, just recently, we gave the Lawrence Memorial Cancer Center, which is opening in October in Waterford, a $1,350 check. We give $100 to the local high school drug-free grad parties. This would be a good opportunity to talk about that a little bit, if I can.
Sure.
We find that these parties are usually run by parents of the graduates. And what happens a lot of times is that information is not passed along each year. And if we don't receive a request from the group that's doing the grad party, we can't mail them a check. We can't mail a check to the school. We've tried contacting that way, and it hasn't worked. So we really would like people to realize that if it's in New London, Waterford, East Lyme, whatever one it is, and you're doing that grad party, all you have to do is submit a letter to us, and we will send you a check for $100. But we can't just send them the check because we don't know where to send it, because each year it seems to change because the chairman is different with the that's running the graduation party, because of course their sons or daughter has moved up and somebody else has taken their place. Mm-hmm. So I hope that kind of gets out, because
Sure, well,
because sometimes the ball does get dropped, doesn't it, Andrew, on that? You know, we look around and we say, geez, you know what, as we're checking the books, and we say, well, how come we only gave out this amount? And, well, such and such town didn't respond, or this one didn't respond. And it's not easy for the schools to respond back to us on that.
One of the things that I think we ought to distinguish with the Elks versus, let's say, the service clubs, Kiwanis, Lions, Rotary, is that the Elks have a lodge. We own a building, and where the service organizations tend to meet weekly or every couple of weeks in a local establishment and do their work in that fashion, and their memberships are significantly smaller. Our membership now is what?
Over 480.
All right, so we're pushing 500, and so and it runs the gamut. I mean, we've got young guys like Andrew, and also senior citizens and everything in between.
Yeah, you were polite.
I'm sorry?
You were polite.
I'm polite. But having a building creates its own set of dynamics there. I mean, you've got expenses to maintain a building, improve it, heat, lights, things of that nature. There's a bar, so we are running a bar. There's a banquet facility. So perhaps you guys can kind of discuss how these different things and dynamics work in terms of what's available to the public versus the members, why people might want to become members, and things of that nature, and how that works.
When we're talking about the building, it allows us to hold events during the year to honor, let's say, our local heroes. We have a fireman's night, a law enforcement. We have a citizen from our communities is chosen and honored with dinners and awards that evening. That event's held in March. Our lodge facilities are open to fundraisers in the communities, charitable events.
We've got one
We
coming
have
up,
a
if I'm
lodge,
not mistaken, at the end of the month.
which is going to be brought up in the thing, yes, yeah. We allow the use of the lodge banquet room for most of these events without charge. As you said, it's a large expense. We're an older building, but we're a very pretty building, a nice building, but there is large expenses.
And where is our building?
It's on 81 Washington Street in London, yes.
In the downtown area?
In the downtown area, yeah. We have a nice parking lot. I've been there 34, 35 years. I don't think I've ever had an instance where I could say that, there was a problem. We're very, very lucky,
Well,
very safe neighborhood.
I like those nights when the parking lot is packed and you've got to park kind of hither and yon in the neighborhood to make your way down to the lodge for whatever the event may be.
Yeah.
And I was mentioning, we do have I think a exciting event coming up at the end of the month. I don't know, are you prepared to speak on that? I think it's the Monday night, the last Monday of the month?
Yep. Yes, on Monday, August 26th, we're at the lodge. We're having a fundraiser for the Sandy Grounds project where Angels play, and we're working with the local fire department on that to make it a success. Along with the fundraiser, that night we'll be honoring some of our local bartenders and expect a large crowd and a fun evening.
And what's the cost?
$10.
$10?
$10.
$10.
$10, yeah.
And what's our meal that night?
It's going to be an Italian dinner.
For $10?
For $10, yeah.
And that one's open to the general public, correct?
Yes, it will be, yes. Yeah, it should be a great evening, a really fun evening too. It's
A great cause.
It's for the great cause, a great cause. I don't know if people are familiar with the Sandy Hook project, but I did have some information on that. Did I got that there?
Well, we're going to be getting a playground in Riverside Park here in New London. And so our participation is to support the overall Sandy Hook program, not just locally, but and beyond.
Exactly, yes. It's a project where they're building 26 playgrounds. And they're building them in New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York, I believe.
I think you're correct.
Yeah, and it's to honor the 26 victims of the Newtown tragedy. And I don't think you could really do anything better, really. To digress just a little bit on that, and when the Hurricane Katrina hit Mississippi and Louisiana and so forth, I happened to go down there the first few days right after the hurricane with the Red Cross, and the devastation was immense. And these firemen, there wasn't even telephone poles for electricity or anything like that. The whole town's infrastructures were wiped out in many areas. And these firemen eventually went down, they built these playgrounds. And to show how this stayed, and the memory still stayed, that when New Jersey had their problems with the hurricane,
Right.
these people that had the playgrounds down there sent money up to New Jersey to have them build playgrounds and everything up there and there. So it was 8 years later, and so it still was carrying on. So it's really something I think that will carry on in the future here too.
Yeah.
That people will remember, and it'll be a nice tribute to that.
That's good.
To that thing.
Folks, I just want to remind everybody that we are live tonight, so if you'd like to participate in the program, you please call in. The numbers are on the screen, and if you're in the local area, you can reach us at 860-440-3154, or if you're outside of the local calling area, you can call 800-253-2285. And we'd really enjoy your input or comments on the Elks, and perhaps you've had some interaction with the Elks, either as a member, or perhaps they've done something for you, or you've seen something done in your neighborhood that you'd like to share that experience with us. And I think that would make to help our program here. Can you kind of give like an overview of some of our ongoing programs and projects? I mean, for instance, this dinner coming up is kind of it's a special event. It's going to be a one-time deal
Right.
for this particular benefit. And I know we've had other dinners honoring the local bartenders, but we do things for service, not just at the lodge, but out in the community. And also, we have a youth group that is currently using our space for a karate program, if I'm not mistaken. And so there's opportunities for the community to get involved with what we're doing.
Yes, well, I was going to get into that a little bit.
I'm just your prompt there, Henry.
I know
That's my
you
job.
was. Could I, while we're talking about fundraisers, could we drop back just a
We'll
a
go
minute?
wherever you want here, Henry.
Okay. Andrew, we just got we got some news that we're very excited about. A project, right, Andrew? Yeah, that we'd kind of like to share.
Yeah, we got word back from the National Lodge today that a grant that we applied for, a large grant, national grant, was accepted, and it's for a project called Codes for Kids, which will be applied right to our local community here in New London County. So we're very excited about that, and that was spearheaded by one of our newer members who also got involved very quickly and is a new officer, Deborah Jacobs. So we're very thankful to her for leading that initiative.
That's good. Can you share the size of the grant and how it's going to be applied and things of that nature?
Yeah, to some extent, because the grant is as you know, has certain stipulations and everything else, and they keep changing things around. And Deborah applied for it last year, and we didn't get it. So then she worked on it again and had to change some things around and applied for it again. But it will be it's been increased. It will be a $2,000 grant. She will be purchasing brand new coats, and they will be dispensed through the community. I'm not sure at the present time just how that's going to work. There are certain stipulations that the Elks Grand Lodge has in place, and I know she has to follow certain things, and she kind of took the ball and run with it, and I let her take the ball and run with it.
Well, that's good.
She's
away for the summer, isn't she?
She is, yes. In fact, she's on vacation, like one of a big trip from retirement and so forth and everything. And she's taking this vacation, and she applied for it online, while she was on vacation and traveling with her RV and so forth. And she sent us the message today that we got it. And it's a good story in the sense that she came on and she wanted to do this project. And we said to her, well, if you want to do it, here's a good opportunity, and here's a way that you can apply for this grant and get it to get things off the ball and rolling. So here's a new member that came in and applied herself and was able to get the project off and going, not the first year, but the second year. And so I think that goes to show you that in the Elks, if you do have certain priorities of a particular organization that you want to help with and so forth, we're more than willing to go help in that area.
I think it's important that that when somebody joins the organization, that they feel that they're contributing and that they're a part of things,
Exactly.
and that there's opportunities to contribute.
Right.
And where member-driven is important, that you don't feel like you're kind of left out on the side, and how do you break in?
Right.
You know, you can jump in and there's plenty of things to do.
Right. And there's certainly going to be, you know, and we need all kinds of members also. I mean, we have members that are say, well, geez, I'm so busy, I just can't do this, I can't do that, you know, with the job and the kids and so forth. But they're members. They're paying their dues. Their dues helps us run. If they weren't a member and we didn't have their dues, well, we couldn't run, right? Right. You know, so we have different kinds of members. We have members that can do, we have members that can't do.
I think that's like with
but we gotta have
most organizations.
Right, but I mean, you know, sometimes we'll have people say, yeah, I just don't have the time. Well, maybe even if you don't have the time, if you could take that money and join, and at least we could use your dues, and certainly you get an hour here, an hour there, and you never know, maybe they will later on become interested in funding or doing a certain project or something.
Sounds good. We've got a call, so let's go to the phones. Good evening, and you're on the air.
Hey, Marty, Dennis from New London.
How you doing, Den?
I'm sitting here listening to you guys, and it gets me thinking about all the different organizations that we have in New London. My question to you is, when did Elks first become a group, all the way back, and what people put that group together?
Henry, I'm going to defer to you.
Well, the Elks was formed in 1868. It was actually formed by 15 actors. I'm shooting off the top of my head a little bit now, Dennis.
Okay, well, just a rough
But
guess.
but it was formed by 15 actually actors as a social club, and it was called the Jolly Corks. And basically they would meet, and they would drink and have a hell of a good time, I guess, you know. And well, what happened was, after the death of a member, which left the wife and children without any income, they decided to take additional action as far as maybe helping members. Eventually, they did become the Elks. They voted from, it was 8-7. I'm reading some of this now, Dennis.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Elks became, it was going to be the Buffaloes, but they chose the Elks because of its timidity. And since then, it's evolved to nearly almost 1 million members.
So your main goal as a group is basically just helping people in need of help?
Correct, yes.
And you guys are down on next to the old phone building?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Now, do you have to be a member to come in and check the place out?
No, you don't.
Den, if you'd like to come down, I'd be delighted to. You can be my guest. Come on in with me.
I'd like to check it out. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you for the
Thank-
call.
Yes,
All
thank
right,
you.
bye.
I might point out that our caller is a candidate for New London City Council,
Oh, very good.
and a gentleman who gives back and is very concerned for our community.
Yes.
But in the history lesson, why don't we take a look at our own lodge, when it was formed, and were we always at 81 Washington Street? And a question I think that we ought to bring out now too is, when you go by the lodge, you see BPOE 360, and what does that mean? And why don't we just say we're the Elks Club as opposed to having that? And again, I'll let you guys respond and to those questions to kind of give people a little bit of idea of where we came from and where we're going and how we got there.
Okay. What about BPOE?
Well, it stands for the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks. So that's the acronym. And I believe that those words basically describe the attributes of an elk, which is, as Henry was saying earlier, why that was chosen as a symbol for the organization.
Mm-hmm. And 360, what's that mean, Henry?
Well, 360 is, we were the 360th lodge formed in the United States, or only the United States, those 360. But when you say that, there are other lodges. There is a lodge in the Philippines, and there is a lodge in Guam. And I really
Well, we've
can't
had
tell you.
American installations in those places,
I
though.
can't tell you why they're there, but they must have been there because of the war. That's the only thing I can think
Yeah,
of.
well, there've been American installations in both the
Yeah.
Philippines and Guam.
Right, but, you know, yeah, 360. And of course, BPOE does stand for the best people on earth. That's another one.
Touche.
Yeah. Yeah, yes. Then the lodge was not originally at its present location, but I'm not sure where they first started. I really couldn't tell you that, but I know that they've been in that building not tremendously long time. We're 117 years old. That's quite old, actually.
And do you know how many lodges there are in the United States now, total, or a rough idea?
There's a little over 2,000 lodges now still in the United States. Yeah. I haven't
And
got
are we
an
the
exact
oldest
total.
in southeastern Connecticut?
No, we're not the oldest. I can't remember who the first one. Oh, Hartford Lodge, first of all, is older than us. And there's another lodge I think in Connecticut. I think
New Haven, Bridgeport?
It
I'm
might
sure
be
it must-
Bridgeport. Might be older than us also.
But in relation to southeastern Connecticut, you mentioned Groton,
Okay.
Willimantic, Westbrook. I can't imagine them.
Interesting story about Groton is that you brought it up. Is that Groton is actually our sister lodge. Groton was formed a little over, I think, 50 years ago now, and it was funded, or it wasn't funded, I shouldn't say that. It was from members from the London Lodge that created Groton Lodge, and New London helped, get them started, from what I understand.
Well, the Groton Lodge is just past Shinnecock Golf Course. I don't know I can get there. I don't know the precise address, but they've got a nice lodge building over in Groton. And I've never been to Willimantic, but the Westbrook Lodge is right on the water, and that's a very nice facility as well.
I was in Westbrook last night. I had to go there for a clinic, and yes, and we had a nice meal there, and was able to sit on the deck for a little while before I went into the meeting. Yes, that's a great advantage too of being in Elk. There are, as you said, Elks do have buildings. They do have a lodge home, and a lot of them are really nice, and some of them may be older, but your membership card will get you into those lodges. And I go visit them for two reasons. A lot of times there's a dinner that might be economical and so forth. And the other is that I find that everybody's very friendly. Very friendly. They're always
Well, I
ready
got
to
that common
greet you,
thread.
and yeah. How are you doing in London? I was out to Remington, Washington a year or two ago, and it was a Silverdale Lodge, and I got in there, and of course everybody wanted to know what was going on in EB, and they were all interested and everything. So there's always there's a common goal about everything when you go to these different areas.
That's great. Well, we got another call, so we're going to go to the phones. Okay. Good evening, and you're on the air.
Yes, good evening. I noticed that it's just gentlemen on your panel today. Is this an all-male social club?
Well, I'm going to defer to our exalted ruler.
No, it's the Elks also have women, and we also have women officers at the present time.
We've also had a couple of women that have served as exalted ruler.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Just recently.
So how long have you been allowing women to be a part of this club?
Good question. I got to think back on that one. I would say 12, 15 years, maybe. I'm
know.
guessing. I'm really guessing. I really, can't really say for sure. But I would say it'd have to be maybe 12, 15 years now.
Let me ask, earlier you mentioned that our current membership is about 480.
Yes.
What percentage of our membership is women?
Good question.
I don't know, so I mean, if it's, you know.
That's a good question, yes, I,
10%,
Excellent
20%,
question.
I,
Just being, I'm listening to you guys talk, and you have a lot of wonderful things to say about the club and what they offer in the community. And one of the things that I don't think you hit upon is just how you welcome families in. I know I had the opportunity to come to some Sunday brunches, and I was just in awe with how many families came out to eat together there at the lodge. And I don't know if you had the opportunity to talk about that.
Well, I don't think we've hit on some of that
No,
stuff
that's-
yet.
that's
but,
true. No, that's
so we want to
true.
thank you for giving the opportunity to prompt us into to new areas.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the call. Well, let's discuss that, because I think we've got actually one of our Sunday brunches coming up pretty soon here. So, Andrew, we're going to pass the baton to you here to lead the charge.
Okay. Yeah, we have a Sunday brunch every month, and they're usually well attended. It's a nice place to go. I've taken my mother and father and sister there a few times, and so that's a great event. We also have a Christmas party for children each year, and most events are family friendly, so it's definitely family oriented organization, I would say.
Yeah. Now, Thursday evening, we've got a monthly event coming up. That's our steak night, right?
steak night, yes, we got steak night coming up this Thursday.
Is that
then
open to the public, or is that for members
well,
or members and guests?
It's members and guests, yes, family members and guests, yes. And most of our dinners are that way, Elks members, family and guests. And we have a Friday night dinner that's open to Elks family and guests. That's as far as the family is concerned. Yes, there are different things. These different events that we run. We always try to set it up so that it can be a family event. It can be kind of economical to bring the children to have a place to come and not cost you an arm and a leg if you want to.
Yeah, one thing I think we ought to discuss. I mean, all organizations, I think, whether it's the Elks or the VFW, the Knights of Columbus, Legion, Lions, Rotary, Kiwanis, Moose, whatever it may be, are struggling with membership.
Definitely.
I mean, we're not unique in that area. And when I joined the lodge 26 years ago, I think our membership was around 1,200. So it's taken a pretty big hit. But as noted, that folks need to be invited to join. So it's incumbent upon the members to be proactive and positive about who we are and what we're doing, so that people want to be a part of this. And we have to share that goodness with the community. And as the caller noted in regards to the participation of women, again, the existing membership has got to reach out and invite people into the lodge. And sometimes we get stuck where we're more comfortable with people like ourselves, so to speak. And sometimes we have to break out of that mold and reach and touch other people in the community to get them involved.
Our last members that came in, there was 3 that came in just a little while ago. One of them was a woman who became very active right away. Thank God. Women seem to become very active right away too. So we must be making them comfortable because they do seem to come right in and take over, helping run things and getting things going. We have another class that's going to be coming in September, and there's 3 members, 3 candidates that will be members that'll be coming in. 2 of those are women. So our classes are becoming 50-50 at least, and even sometimes stronger on the other side with women. So
Yeah.
more and more women are joining our lodge and statewide and national wide and becoming involved. Yes.
And that's a big change. I know that when I joined the lodge, years ago, that women were not offered membership opportunities, and it was a separate club. It was the Emblem Club, which is kind of the women's auxiliary.
Yes, it was.
Which was more the norm at that time. But I think that the lodge is well served to be more fully integrated with their membership.
And there still is an Emblem Club. They're still very active. Ours happens not to be. It disbanded, but there are still quite a few Emblem Clubs in the United States that are very active.
And one thing I wanted to touch on too, and with you guys in particular, because you're here, Henry, you mentioned it earlier on in the program that you're retired, but what did you do when you were in the workforce?
I worked for the New London Day paper. I was in charge of the composing room, pre-press in the composing room.
Okay, and you did that for how many years?
36 years.
36 years. You
Yeah.
were there a long time. And
Right.
Andrew, you're just getting your feet wet in the workforce here, I would think. What are you
That's
doing?
true. I'm an engineer over at Electric Boat.
In Groton or New London?
I started in Groton and am in New London now.
You walk to work?
I do. Yeah.
Well, so you're not one of those cars that's sprawled all over the place down there.
No.
Well, I bring this up for a reason. I mean, when I joined the lodge, I was active in my family's contracting business, and the purpose of this is to let people know that membership in this organization is very widespread, and we incorporate people from all walks of life. And there's no barrier where if you're involved with this, you can't get in. And we were looking for people who want to give back to the community.
That's exactly it. I mean, that's saying it quite well. Is that we're looking for people that are interested in their community, that want to give back to their community. We want to make our community a nice place to live. We want to help whatever way we can to continue to make our community a nice place to live. That's basically our objectives.
Yeah.
And
Now,
that's what
there's
we
also a
work
sense
for.
with the Elks of patriotism. I mean, I think we ought to let people know that as well. That we participated recently over in Niantic in the Memorial Day Parade. And,
Yes, we did.
And I think there were others that we may have participated in as well. We also have Flag Day ceremonies and other things that have a patriotic bent, and perhaps we can, you guys can take that and run with it here.
The Elks are very patriotic. We were the first and only order in the United States to make Flag Day a observance mandatory. So we started that quite a while back, and we still are the only ones that do. As far as patriotic ways, we try to help with the school system. We can provide teachers and classrooms with the U.S. flags. We can replicas of the important historic documents. Pledge of Allegiance kits we have available, all at no cost. Additionally, each year we sponsor an essay contest ending in March. I'm not sure what it's going to be this year, but I believe it's going to be, and it's something that ends in March, is for fifth through eighth graders. I think it is what Veterans Day means to me. I think that's going to be the essay this year in the contest. It's a free contest. It gives students a chance to express themselves and their patriotism, and they compete for savings bonds. So I think that's a great program right there as far as U.S. history, patriotism, and so forth. Our youth programs are very, very strong. We have the Elks Hoop Shoot program. That's
been going on for quite a few years now.
That's been going on for a long time, yes. It's a free throw contest. Local lodges, we all work in cooperation with elementary, middle schools to create a competition. Boys and girls have 3 groups, and it's open to boys and girls, free throw contest. In fact, the young girl, let me finish this and don't get ahead of myself. Ages 8 to 9, 10 to 11, 12 to 13 compete, sink and free throws. And this competition goes from the local level to a district level to a state level to a national level, where you go to the Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame, and compete there.
That's in Springfield.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to have a young man represent our lodge all the way to the national level.
Was that recently, or is that?
This was a few years back, but maybe 6 or 7 years back now. Of course, time flies too. When you say that, But when we were talking about the women, the young girl that won was, I think she was the national level now. I think she won. She was either 9 or 10 years old. I believe she was 10 years old, and she shot 25 free throws, and she made 25 free throws. And she ended up winning the contest.
Well,
So
she should have been giving Shaquille O'Neal a little sample
I
of
know
lessons
it.
there, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Those guys can't shoot free throws.
And we also have a soccer shoot. It's similarly new, but it's based on the same concept as the hoop shoot program, where that just moves to the state level. That's a fall program that the local lodges now will be taking that up in the next month or two. So anyone that's interested, if they want to call a lodge or email a lodge or anything, we'd be more than happy to give them the information on that.
Okay. Well, we're getting down to our final handful of minutes here, so if you'd like to get into the program, please give us a call, and the numbers are on the screen. Locally at 440-3154. And if you're out of the calling area, you can call us at 800-253-2285. Elkdom is a wonderful organization, and it's an opportunity to give back to your community, make friends, you build fellowship and camaraderie. And it just overall, I think it's a good experience. And as with many organizations, you get much more back than you give. You give a little bit, you get back a heck of a lot more. And I know I value my membership in the Elks, and Henry certainly does, because he's been at it a long time, and he's gone up the chairs to the leadership position. And we've got our new member, Andrew, who's stepping right up into the plate, and that's appreciated. And I think that speaks volumes as well, to get the newer and younger members as well plugged into the equation coming out of the gate.
Andrew's grandfather, who was quite active in the Elks, coined this. Actually, this is if it helps youth, do it. That was Charles Luss, which was Andrew's grandfather.
Yep.
And he was big on youth, and the Connecticut Elks Association picked that up.
Yeah. And there's also leadership growth opportunities within the organization. I mean, beyond the local lodge, we've got the Connecticut State Elks Association. There's also a national organization. Perhaps you can kind of give us a little bit of an overview of how that works, because I think you're more familiar with that than I.
Yes. Well, when you go into the state level, if you wanted to go into the state level, you first of all would have to be a past Exalta ruler. So you would have to serve as Exalta ruler before you could move up into the state level. The state level has 4 vice presidents. The state is set up with 4 districts, like East, Coastal, and then you have, I can't remember, Northwest and another one. And then you have a president. So you could move up in that area. And there is also what they call a district deputy, who is actually a person who is from the Grand Lodge, and he is just what they say. He's the right arm for the Grand Lodge at that time, a representative of the Grand Lodge. So people do move up. We've had people move up. We have district deputies from our lodge. We've got state presidents from our lodge. We just had a secretary was of the state was from our lodge.
Yeah, well, I mean, two gentlemen who are currently active, Paul Ibera and Mike Tomzak have operated at that next level, and the leadership that they and stability that they bring to our lodge, I think is special. I mean, I really appreciate what they bring and their knowledge, experience, and a good guiding hand in terms of doing things properly within our rules and regulations and being Elks.
Yes, both Paul and Mike have really been a guiding hand in the lodge, and Paul especially now, because Paul is my esquire, and your esquire is more or less somebody that you rely on to help you in a lot of matters and so forth, and he has Elkham at heart, and very knowledgeable. Yes.
Yeah. And I'd also like to give kudos to Herbie Eldridge, who his time and effort for the lodge is second to none. I mean, he's at the lodge regularly, and he leads many different programs, and you need people like Herb who are willing to step up and make things happen. And operationally, I know Keith Robbins is doing a tremendous job as well, helping us to stay on a straight and narrow course, and he's also exceptionally active in the lodge.
And we're very fortunate with the officers that we have on hand right now. They, a really nice group of officers we have. We're very fortunate. And when we're talking about Herbie and all the things that he runs and does, he does, of course, the law enforcement night, he does a firefighters night, and we have a New London night coming up in September where they'll be honoring.
That's one of my favorite nights. I like New London night.
I thought you'd like that, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, folks, this has been an engaging conversation regarding the Elks organization and the New London Lodge of Elks in particular. I've been delighted to have as guests tonight our exalted ruler, Henry Nichols, and new member and new trustee, Andrew Gilday. And I hope you've enjoyed the conversation as much as we have, and hope you've learned something. And for folks that are interested in participating and perhaps joining the lodge, contact one of us and we can help guide you through it, and we'd be delighted to have you on board.
And for more information, elks.org or connecticutelks.org.
Very good. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having us, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.